happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? No, no. Are you happy that Solo Sandeng and his colleagues, their sacrifices is actually seen as any other ordinary because there is no respect for human rights as much as there should be. There is no respect for political rights as much as it should be. If we truly believe that we owe this to Solo Sandeng, then we must do as he wished. And that is to do right by those that entrust us the responsibility to do right to them. I end my speech with that. Thank you. And may the soul of my father continue to rest in peace.
Thank you, Mohammed. We will go to the eulogy for Solo Sandeng by His Excellency A.N.M. Husseinu Dabo, Secretary General and Party Leader of the United Democratic Party. Your Excellency, please. Yes, it's filled with microphones. You wanted to place them here? You could place them on top and take them one by one. Yes. Wow, so you got mics. But
the honorable ministers present here, members of the National Assembly, my colleagues, leaders and representatives of other political parties, the Lord Mayors of Kanifing and Banjul, victims of April 14 and victims of April 16, victims of May 9, 2016. My compatriots, all protocols duly observed and respected. Today, we gather to bid final farewell to Ibrahima Solo Sandeng, a good Muslim, father to Malik, Aminata, Fatmata, Muhammad, Jainaba, Usainu, Elias Loyadabo, Eliman, Elias Undanyang, Shabna, and Fatima Nyali, husband to Nyima Sonko, and a consummate patriot who loved his country, the Gambia, and was fervently dedicated to making her free, democratic, and prosperous. 6 years after his martyrdom, a grateful nation joins his family today, not only to mourn his tragic loss and pray for his soul to rest in eternal peace, but also to celebrate his well-lived life. To those of us who knew and worked with Solo in the long drawn-out battle to defeat the brutal regime of Yahya Jammeh, his memory is etched into our hearts for the rest of our lives. Solo was an ordinary citizen who achieved an extraordinary outcome for our nation through selfless devotion to principles he believed in. Those principles were anchored in his strong belief that democracy was the best form of self-government for all who valued freedom. He also believed in the assertions of an American statesman that it takes eternal vigilance of citizens to sustain a democracy. He also believed in a similar refrain that democracy and the freedoms it guarantees are not free, and that only those who are willing to fight to create and retain their democracy would be entitled to keep it. The battle from 1996 to the day he drew his last breath in the torture chambers of the National Intelligence Office, as it was called, were all centered around the principle that he and the nation he loved needed to be free from authoritarianism and be democratic. In the pursuit of his beliefs, Solo was determined, humble, disciplined, and focused. He was courageous and resourceful. He believed in his cause so much so that he tried to convert some NIA officers for his persuasion whilst he was in previous detention in the office in Banjul. He was a self-taught man who, despite having never sat in any conventional classroom in a school setting, was able to speak and write perfect English. He had a combined wisdom, curiosity, and keen intellectual approach to everything he did. In the leadership position he was given as a long-serving member of the United Democratic Party executive, Solo always brought energy, excellent organizational skills, and laser focus on achieving results. He believed the journey to freedom entailed necessary sacrifices, and he was always at the forefront of whatever was required, whether it was time, resources, personal comfort, or even exposing himself to risk. If he believed something needed to be done, he would first try to do it before asking anyone else. Nothing stands out more in the life of Solo than immense courage that lay beneath his humble disposition. He, like most Gambians who lived under the tyranny of Yahya Jammeh, was very conscious and aware of the death, torture, and disappearances that were the hallmark of that cruel regime. He had personal experience as well as intimate knowledge of the regime's cruelty, but was never the one to be cowed. He believed that the price of freedom requires sacrifice, and he possessed the courage to face the dangers that stood between what obtained and what he aspired for our nation. Solo believed as long as there exists a Gambia, there must be Gambians ready and willing to fight for its freedom. That was what drove him from 1996 to the day he was martyred in the hands of killers who believed by killing his good son of the land, they were killing the principles believed in. The brutality of their conduct deprived this nation and his nuclear family, as well as the larger Gambian family of his company. In killing Solo for exercising his constitutional rights, our nation regained democracy that was interrupted for 22 years. His ultimate sacrifice of losing his life is what gave us deliverance from the Jammeh regime. We must note that democracy that exists today is not a gift wrapped token bestowed on us, the citizens. Neither is it a miracle that materialized out of the thin air. It is the product of 22 years of struggle paid for by the blood, tears, and sweat and sacrifices of countless regular citizens, of all persuasion, who believed in and acted on the proposition that tyranny needed to be confronted and democracy was worth fighting for. These are the people who defeated tyranny and reconstituted the new Gambia with a promise to uphold democratic values, promote and protect the fundamental rights and freedoms gifted to us by God. That is why when freedoms are seized, and under whatever guise, those who value it become duty-bound to reclaim it, whatever price that may entail. Solo was the catalyst and one of the principal architects of the reconstituted New Gambia. It is an undeniable fact that Ibrahim Solo Sandeng died in the battle for freedom and democracy. It is our duty to uphold his legacy and that of all those who fell in the battle for a better Gambia. The best way to honor the sacrifice of the fallen is to live up to the principles of freedom and democracy for which they paid the ultimate price. Naming monuments after them and giving national funeral to Solo have symbolic and optic value, but legislating good electoral laws, and more importantly, by demonstrable conduct, manifesting the core principles of freedom and democracy he advocated and believed in would be the more befitting a tribute to him. Free people live in a democracy that democracy must live like free people in a democracy. So Lord, that for principles, whose validation must go beyond verbal affirmation. No Gambian should ever again be a victim of their own government. We must all abhor every indication of rights violation and insist on scrupulous adherence to the values of law, to the rule of law. Both the citizens and the government have a duty to safeguard the freedom and democracy that Solo died for. To the family of Solo Sandeng, you have the heartfelt condolences of a grateful nation. As we return the mortal remains of your loved one to Allah Almighty, who presides over all life. Your father, husband, uncle, my friend, my younger brother, my comrade, my trusted ally, will stand tall in the annals of Gambian history for his selflessness, courage, and dedication. We pray for Allah to grant him Jannah and bless this nation. So Sandeng Tiana, Nyonkolimbanna, Kabuye Redi, Italy Gambia Kanjura, Italy Joya Diloka on the Gambia Kala. On the 14th of April, Melie Faye Burula Kobulo, but B. Besula Ko Walio. B. Besula Ko Lamdalimo. Solo Sandeng, Bila Betala, Nina Lula Bankin Gambia Bankuloka. But me benda Lokoteke, Gambia Banko Duma. But Nidada, Afonya is single Nyasiako, Mijane. Nidada Fonya Lamaroyako, Mijam. Nidada Fojere Fatia Kombijang. Afasaja Kunjan Sanya Kombijang. Ko Yemeltumbul. Mfanabina Lembal Talla, Nafaleko. I left a Mansukunda Sifa Mena, Mansakunda Memyaro Kafko, a better Gambian Sawala, or Mansakunda Asotale, Nalakita, Ntaka Labanko Lokodo, no Mansako. Solo, Alamayakem Kila, Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Alamayaka, Akide Futajote. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The poet Cherno Gay will have a short poem for us as we continue paying our respect to Ibrahim Solo Sandeng. Mr. Gay.
When you speak for your fellow man, he will judge you. When you speak for God, men will ignore you. When you speak for the truth, they will say to their friends, he is but a self-righteous fool, and we do not listen to him when you speak for freedom. Men of power will fear you because power is the illegitimate child of tyranny, and tyranny is nothing but the insecure guy hitting you in the head with ideas he hopes will keep you on your knees while he feeds lies to his monstrous ego. That is why when you march on the streets with your placards demanding for freedom, tyranny will march against you and demand for your life. Unlike Martin, Malcolm, and Nelson, Solo Sandeng paid that price. Because few men understand that bad men are not bad men until they bend the will of every man, and most men will bend to the will of corrupt power, but some men love freedom more than they fear death. Some men understand that sometimes sacrifice is a one-way ticket and they still get on that flight. Some men will murder dishonesty in cold blood, pack him in a box, bury him under a cave, and proudly kiss the barrel of the executioner's gun because they would rather sleep 6 feet underneath the ground than tell the kind of lies that turn leaders into monsters. Some men, those men, are the nightmares that keep tyrants and dictators awake all night, because all it takes to burn down a kingdom of lies is one honest man willing to die for the truth. Some men dare to dream. Some men have hope. And maybe hope is nothing but a loan that we owe to a guy named Tomorrow who lives in a place called the future. But his promise is the legend that gives meaning to human life. And what is life without meaning? What is life without purpose? Solo died because in a country of more than 2 million people, one lie grew so big that good, honest men have to trade their honor for breadcrumbs. He died because we remained silent for so long that we forgot the taste of liberty and the feeling of freedom. He died because in 1994, a little monster walked into our house and we kept him in a room. We fed and raised him without question. And when he grew big enough and started killing, we had forgotten that we had the right to say no. Solo died. Solo died because we killed a little bit of ourselves every time we voted for that monster. Every time we praised that monster. Every time we lied against our fellow countrymen for that monster. Every time we changed the law for that monster. Every time we broke the law for that monster. Every time we made the law for that monster. And all the times we remained quiet while that monster broke and violated the fundamental human rights of our people. Solo died so that you could be free. But are you? Solo died so that someone like me can recite a poem like this standing here. Because freedom is not free, and Solo understood that. Because few men understand that bad men are not bad men until they bend every man to their will, and most men will bend to the will of corrupt power. But some men love freedom more than they fear death. Some men understand that sometimes sacrifice is a one-way ticket and they still get on that flight. Some men will murder dishonesty in cold blood, pack him in a box, bury him under a cave, and proudly kiss the executioner's barrel because they would rather sleep 6 feet underneath the ground than tell the kind of lies that turn leaders into monsters. Some men, those men, are the nightmares that keep tyrants and dictators awake all night, because all it takes to burn down a kingdom of lies is one honest man willing to die for the truth. So are you most men? Or are you some men? Because Solo died so that you could be free. And no one here is free. Rest in peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, cabinet ministers, members of the diplomatic community, civil society, the Sandeng family, have the honor to invite a representative of His Excellency, the President, Adam Barrow, represented here by the Attorney General and the Honorable Minister for Justice, Mr. Dauda Jallow.
Honorable ministers here present, members of the diplomatic and consular corps, the Ibrahim Solo Sandeng family, leaders of political parties here present, the Lord Mayor and Mayoress of KMC and Banjul, respectively, all distinguished ladies and gentlemen, invitees, I stand on the existing protocol. We are gathered here today to pay our last respect to the Ibrahim Solo Sandeng, a special son of this country, a man who stood against dictatorship, a man who paid ultimate price in fighting for the cause he genuinely believed in. He has left an indelible mark in the political history of this country. Solo was committed to making a difference in people's lives. He volunteered his services for the development of his community and the nation at large. Solo demonstrated his passion for democracy, education, social justice, and human rights through the various institutions he rendered his invaluable services to. Today, irrespective of our political affiliations and differences, and after 6 long years, we as a nation are gathered to finally give Solo the befitting burial he deserves. I therefore, on behalf of His Excellency, the President, and on behalf of the government, once again wish to extend my condolences to the Sandeng family, friends, loved ones, and everyone who is here to remember and honor him. The number of people who have shown up today to pay their last respect is a testimony of his love for our motherland, the Gambia. In whatever role we knew him, from whatever vantage point, he stood apart as someone special. Solo was a catalyst to our newfound democracy. He inspired the masses to expressly desire and vote for change and freedom. Solo's legacy has inspired us in our current security sector reforms and the transitional justice process as a whole. We cannot bring back the lost loved ones, but we are committed to ensure that what happened to Solo never happens in this country, that we owe to Solo. In addition to Solo's devotion to the nation, Solo is remembered as a jovial, caring, and kind, supportive individual by his family. He is remembered for his tolerance and commitment towards democratic ideals. Although we lost him to an appalling atrocity meted on him, we wish to remember him as somebody who fought for his country, and we remember him for his braveness, determination, and patriotism. We are committed to safeguarding the legacy of Solo Sandeng, and we therefore cannot relent in our efforts. We can only strive to do better and continue to strengthen the work done towards achieving a system that is built on the foundation of rule of law, democracy, strong institutions, good governance, and justice. It is indeed heartwarming for Solo Sandeng's family and the country that we have attained justice for him. We wish to reiterate that his legacy will continue to live on in history of our democratic transition as a nation. Solo will be missed by many, but will never be forgotten in our hearts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I'll now call on Mohammed Mamoon Job to lead us in Quranic recitation. Mohammed Mamoon, please.
Never again. Never again. Never again. Never again. Real never again. Real one. We mean real never again. We mean real never again. Full time electoral.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم؟ بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. صدق الله العظيم. الفاتحة.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. We'd like to express our condolences to the Sandeng family, Mohammed and the brothers and the sisters. We'd like to pay our respect to them as a nation, to say we are aware that here lie your father for the sacrifices he's made for the Gambia. The representatives here from the different political parties, from the government, from civil society, is testimony to how much we appreciate the sacrifice that he did for our country and for the freedoms that he stood for. Now we'd like to invite the representative of the president and cabinet ministers to bid their farewell, to be led in a procession in a line going this way. First row, followed by second row, and all of us in that order. Please, Honorable Minister. Thank you very much for coming, and we appreciate the time, the support from everybody across the four corners of the Gambia. Thank you, Gambia. This is much appreciated.
My tripod. It's okay.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا من لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا فضربنا على آذانهم في الكهف سنين عددا ثم بعثناهم لنعلم أي الحزبين أحصى لما لبثوا أمدا نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى وربطنا على قلوبهم إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا هؤلاء قوم اتخذوا من دونه آلهة لولا يأتون عليهم بسلطان بين فمن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا وإذ اعتزلتموهم وما يعبدون إلا الله فأووا إلى الكهف ينشر لكم ربكم من رحمته ويهيئ لكم من أمركم مرفقا ترى الشمس إذا طلعت تزاور عن كهفهم ذات اليمين وإذا غربت تقرضهم ذات الشمال وهم في فجوة منه ذلك من آيات الله من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود ونقلبهم ذات اليمين وذات الشمال وكلبهم باسط ذراعيه بالوصيد لو اطلعت عليهم لوليت منهم فرارا ولملئت منهم رعبا وكذلك بعثناهم ليتساءلوا بينهم قال قائل منهم كم لبثتم قالوا لبثنا يوما أو بعد يوم قالوا ربكم أعلم بما لبثتم فابعثوا أحدكم بورقكم هذه إلى المدينة فلينظر أيها أزكى طعاما فليأتكم برزق منه وليتلطف ولا يشعرن بكم أحدا إنهم إن يظهروا عليكم يرجموكم أو يعيدوكم في ملتهم ولن تفلحوا إذا أبدا وكذلك أعثرنا عليهم ليعلموا أن وعد الله حق
Let's tripod or not. No, you get a tripod. Tripod or not, alone. No, the man. Boy, boy, push them. No, joke, the tripod on you, no, joke, you must tripod. Yes. No, serious, okay. I don't know the tripod. But I. No. Masa nimbe kombe na yamba nyoji sko. Yawo chala le. Na to. Sai isu le. Jamuna le kamba na ndu baga la. Sisa. Munambe. What is finished? Face na sister. Don't come on ahead. You will disturb us.
Sorry, then a jacket. You met them.
No, it's okay. So we are part of our. Okay. Sukutan kamu. Benar kamu. Okay.
Kayaknya aku juga ya saat kirim.
Okay. Wow, I need how to call it, extra battery. Huh? Otherwise. Guys. Okay. Now what I would do. What I would do. You don't see what I do. Hey, Eso. So you're yet using the inbuilt sound. Sister. Hey. Watch. Ini live dan distorsi. Live mana kau? Go kalau oke ye. Go. Apa omoni ye? Hakilo. Nindom hakilo. Mày về làm mất luôn rồi. Cái rồi.
الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا ولعلك باقع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا فضربنا على آذانهم في الكهف سنين عددا ثم بعثناهم لنعلم أي الحزبين أحصى لما لبثوا أمدا نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى وربطنا على قلوبهم إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا هؤلاء قوم اتخذوا من دونه آلهة لولا يأتون عليهم بسلطان بين فمن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا وإذ اعتزلتموهم وما يعبدون إلا الله فأووا إلى الكهف ينشر لكم ربكم من رحمته ويهيئ لكم من أمركم مرفقا ترى الشمس إذا طلعت تزاور عن كهفهم ذات اليمين وإذا غربت تقرضهم ذات الشمال وهم في فجوة منه ذلك من آيات الله من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود ونقلبهم ذات اليمين وذات الشمال وكلبهم باسط ذراعيه بالوصيد لو اطلعت عليهم لوليت منهم فرارا ولملئت منهم رعبا وكذلك بعثناهم ليتساءلوا بينهم قال قائل منهم كم لبثتم قالوا لبثنا يوما أو بعد يوم قالوا ربكم أعلم بما لبثتم فابعثوا أحدكم بورقكم هذه إلى المدينة فلينظر أيها أزكى طعاما فليأتكم برزق منه وليتلطف ولا يشعرن بكم أحدا إنهم إن يظهروا عليكم يرجموكم أو يعيدوكم في ملتهم ولن تفلحوا إذا أبدا وكذلك أعثرنا عليهم ليعلموا أن وعد الله حق وأن الساعة لا ريب فيها إذ يتنازعون بينهم أمرهم فقالوا بنوا عليهم بنيانا ربهم أعلم بهم قال الذين غلبوا على أمرهم لنتخذن عليهم مسجدا سيقولون ثلاثة رابعهم كلبهم ويقولون خمسة سادسهم كلبهم رجما بالغيب ويقولون سبعة وثامنهم كلبهم قل ربي أعلم بعدتهم ما يعلمهم إلا قليل فلا تمار فيهم إلا مراء ظاهرا ولا تستفت فيهم منهم أحدا ولا تقولن لشيء إني فاعل ذلك غدا إلا أن يشاء الله واذكر ربك إذا نسيت وقل عسى أن يهديني ربي لأقرب من هذا رشدا ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9 قل الله أعلم بما لبثوا له غيب السماوات والأرض أبصر به وأسمع ما لهم من دونه من ولي ولا يشرك في حكمه أحدا واتل ما أوحي إليك من كتاب ربك لا مبدل لكلماته ولن تجد من دونه ملتحدا واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا وقل الحق من ربكم فمن شاء فليؤمن ومن شاء فليكفر إنا أعتدنا للظالمين نارا أحاط بهم سرادقها وإن يستغيثوا يغاثوا بماء كالمهل يشوي الوجوه بئس الشراب وساءت مرتفقا إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات إنا لا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا أولئك لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب
تجري من تحتها الأنهار كلما